Sustain 267.
And we are jumping straight into Sustain 267, where today we're commemorating World Wildlife Day under the theme Medicinal, Aromatic Plants and Wild Animals. On the line, we have Nicole Rombe from who is the project officer at Sustain 267. Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Sophie. How are you? Compliments of the new season. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much. Happy New Year and stuff. Jalo jalo. Just think, getting straight into it, we're commemorating the World Wildlife Day, right? Mm-hmm. Under the theme Medicinal and Aromatic Plants. So is that really important to the global and also inclusive of Botswana? Is the theme really important to us as well this year?
Yes, thank you so much for your question. Before I go into the good morning, today, happy to be back. This year's theme, like you already mentioned, is medicinal and plants, conserving health, heritage, and livelihoods. So a lot of us, when we think about wildlife, we imagine the elephants, the lions, the big five.
Yeah.
But also includes the plants that actually heal us, that sustain traditional knowledge, that support rural economies. Today, that's what we're discussing. This theme is important because it reminds us that biodiversity is not just about the animals, it's about the plants that sustain us. Globally, for instance, nearly 80% of the world's population relies on plant-based traditional medicine for some aspects of primary health care. More than 50,000 plant species are used medicinally worldwide, and yet many are at threat due to overharvesting, land degradation, climate change, all of that. For instance, in Botswana, we have our own traditional plants. We have our singaparile, we have our wild sage, we have our morila. All of these are different things. We go to the village and we're told that we should take these things, and they really do help. So I think it's a very important theme, and I'm happy that we celebrate it yesterday.
Mm-hmm. All right. So there was something about the cheetahs that happened recently, and can you talk a little bit about that and how does it really connect to this broader wildlife theme?
Yes. So just a little bit ago, on February 28th, to be specific, 9 cheetahs, so 60 males and females, were transported from Botswana to the National Park in India under India's Project Cheetah Reintroduction Program. So in India, cheetahs have been declared extinct since about 1952, which is nearly 75 years ago.
Oh, okay.
And due to overhunting and habitat loss. So since the reintroduction began in 2022, cheetahs have been brought in from Namibia, South Africa, and now Botswana, making this the latest group. And it has helped India's cheetah population to actually stand at approximately 48 individuals, which, considering that there is 10, is a lot. So that's something that Botswana is doing. But it connects with the wild plants that we're talking about because healthy predator populations depend on healthy ecosystems. So healthy ecosystems depend on plant diversity. If we lose plant cover, including our medicinal and aromatic plants, we stabilize soil systems, prey populations, and ultimately the predators at the top of the food chain.
Okay, talking about extinction, what are the risks if we fail to protect these plants and the broader ecosystems?
What are the risks?
Yeah.
Well, considering that climate change is something that's happening all the time, some risks that are associated with that would be, as I previously mentioned, destabilization of soil systems. Not only does it affect the medicinal plants that we rely on to sustain ourselves, but it affects health systems as well. Like I mentioned earlier, about 80% of primary health care actually uses a lot of the traditional plants and medicine that we rely on. So if they're affected, that directly affects the health system, which directly affects our livelihoods. Accessibility as well. A lot of these plants are still so good for us. It's accessible by people that don't live in the city, for instance. If you're in the village, you can't keep coming to. There's some places that don't have hospitals, that don't have clinics, but they rely on these plants to reduce their blood pressure, to reduce their cholesterol, without taking pills, without taking medication. So all in all, they really need to be preserved. Like, we really need them for our environment and our biodiversity and our health, most importantly.
Yeah. So what does this mean for us as the youth, or for the development of Botswana?
Botswana has been typically recognized for conservation, but young people are entering environmental careers, and they need to think systematically about these things. Not just protecting animals, but actually managing landscapes. This can include sustainable harvesting of medicinal plants, climate smart land management, GIS mapping for biodiversity, supporting community-based conservation, and most importantly, because I always believe that we have to learn from the older generation, integrating indigenous knowledge with actual scientific research that we're doing. So, yeah, Botswana's youth can shape that future that we're looking for, and if we invest in the skills, the research, and it's completely 100% achievable.
Yeah. All right, so bringing it home, on this World Wildlife Day, how can us as citizens or people in Botswana actively protect both wildlife and medicinal plant heritage?
Thank you for that. So my call to action, value traditional knowledge. Heritage and should be documented and protected. Second, sustainable harvest. Medicinal plants must be cultivated carefully to actually prevent their depletion. Third, engaging land use discussions. There's a lot of discussion going on between urban planners, between spatial specialists that are happening in terms of urban spaces. Engage discussions. Development decisions affect biodiversity corridors and planting as well. And finally, to the listeners, I would just like each of us to remember that Botswana holds nearly a quarter of the world's remaining cheetahs and constant species that sustain health. Conservation is not about protecting what's visible and charismatic. It's about protecting our system to change life.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much for sharing the knowledge. That was very profound. And we'll continue celebrating the World Wildlife Day and also take action towards protecting our heritage and our plants and our wildlife. Thank you so much, Nicole, for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me. If you want to reach out to me or anyone who's Sustain 267, it's at Sustain 267 on all social platforms, like Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. We have a page, we have a podcast, all podcast platforms. So really, there's no excuse for you not to reach out. And if you want to reach out to me personally, it's Nicole Rombe. Have an amazing day.
Awesome. Have a blessed day yourself, Nicole.